It's a colorful foresight where we intuitively connect from within. Hello, this is Sylvia Colorful Foresight. Here we have Shari 8 from Voices from the Swamp. Today's going to be fun. We're going to focus
Yes.
on Joe
I
Biden.
even wore my special kitty cat. It says, "I'm fine. It's fine. Everything's fine."
Everything
And
is
it shows the
fine.
cat was like, "Yes."
Oh, yeah. So,
So
the purpose of this, and by the way, we already saw everybody saying hello to us. And by the way, Michelle, we're eyeing on you. Shari saw what you said, so just give us a second. So the title is Political Rule Time with a Touch of Enlightenment. We're going to focus on President Joe Biden, how he's a lucky charm. Because we need to focus. There's always focus about the other guy. And listen, I'm just as guilty, and I get hooked into drama, and I want to feel safe. So we need to know everything. But how is President Joe Biden, a lucky charm? So first, we're going to do what he's done so far, from when the first 4 years. But we're also later on, which we're going to tune in with our intuition, and you guys could join in and add your intuition as well. How President Joe Biden going to contribute even more for year 2024, 2028 for his second win. So what do you want to start with, Shari? You want to look at what Michelle wrote?
well, let's back up a little bit. Why is he so lucky? I think it stems from the fact that one, he's an actual decent human being. He actually cares about people. When he was first elected to the Senate, when he was first elected to the Senate eons ago, about a week, I think it was, before he was to go take office, his wife, daughter, and 2 sons were in a horrific car accident. His wife and daughter were killed. His 2 sons were in the hospital for months, not knowing if they were going to live or die. And he was going to step out of the seat that he just won as senator. And his oldest son, Bo, the one that passed away from brain cancer, his oldest son, Bo, was like, "No, Dad, you got to do it. They need you there." Even though this child is in the hospital, just lost his mother and his sister, right? He's telling his dad, "No, Dad, you got to go do it." So that man took a subway every day, took the train every day into DC, back to Scranton to be with his kids at night in the hospital, and that's how he started his Senate career. Hi, Clarence. The fact that he listened to what the people around him said, that, no, the Senate needs someone like you in there. Now, did he make mistakes? Did he make some bad decisions along the way? Absolutely. Yeah. During the Clarence Thomas hearings, when they were picking him to be a Supreme Court justice, and the Anita Hill testimony and everything, Joe was, like a lot of men at that period of time, just didn't quite get it, as most men didn't back then. They didn't realize that it was the problem it was that women had been dealing with for so long, because there weren't that many women in positions of power to make them understand that. Since then, he has made a point of going to Anita Hill and apologizing to her for being so rough on her during those Senate hearings, and that he was wrong in his assumptions. Now, that takes a true, courageous person to go to someone, even though it's years later, and say, "I was wrong, and I should have listened to you."
Listen, we forget these people are human beings, the politicians.
Right. We do. We tend to hold them up, put them on a pedestal, and they're regular people like you and me.
And actually, a lot of
Democrats. He was very fortunate in that he then met his current wife, Dr. Jill Biden, the first lady. She was a teacher, and she also did some modeling at the time for like extra money. And he was just, the first time he met her, he was just taken with her and pursued her relentlessly from what she said for quite a while before she finally said yes to go out. And she fell in love with his kids. His kids fell in love with her. They got married. They had more children, you know, and she is his rock in so many ways. She provides that family foundation that he can hold on to during bad times. Now, when he left office, when they did their 8 years, he and Obama together. When he left office, that was it. He was done with politics. He was hanging up his hat and saying, nope, I've spent 30, 40 years in the Senate. I've spent 8 years as vice president. I'm done. Let Hillary take it. And then we had the mess that was of 2016. And so as it was getting closer and closer to 2020 for the next election, it was his granddaughters that started in on him, telling him, Poppy, you have to run. You have to run for president. You're the only one that's going to beat this man. You have to run because you're the right person. And you know what to do. And so because of his granddaughters, he put his hat in the ring and decided to run. And the fact that he picked Kamala Harris to be his VP was more than just a political choice. It was a personal choice because he knew her on a personal level. His son, Beau, who had died from brain cancer, was an attorney general at one time, at the same time that Kamala was attorney general in California. And they got to know each other through the events that would be held for attorney generals across the country. You know, they had these like conferences and stuff they would go to. And they got to be very good friends, you know. And so that's how Joe Biden got to know her. So he knew the kind of woman that she was and what she stood for and what her morals were. And because of that, that was why he chose her to be his VP, because he knew that she had the moral and ethical fortitude that it would take for that job. Most vice presidents are just kind of a figurehead. Like they're just kind of hanging out in case something happens to the president. They're there to step in. They don't really do anything. When Obama picked Joe Biden to be his vice president, Biden agreed with one caveat. He said, I will be your vice president, but I have to be the last man in the room. No matter what the decisions, what the conferences, what's going on, after everyone has come and given you their opinion, their facts, their, everything for you to make a decision, what do we do next? I'm the last man in the room. And then we discuss it. And Obama said, you got a deal. Because he knew that Joe Biden would know what he was talking about. 30 years on the Senate Foreign Committee. He knew people. He knew people internationally. He knew how things worked. That was probably one of the smartest decisions Obama made, was to pick Biden to be his VP. And as Obama later said, I picked him for my vice president because I knew he was the right person for the job. He said, what I didn't expect was to become part of his family. Because most presidents and vice presidents, you never saw them hanging out together or anything.
Right.
They invited the Obamas in as family. Joe's granddaughters, Obama's daughters, they went to school together. They did slumber parties together. They did everything together. They still hang out together, That's how close they are.
Can you say Obama mother's side Irish too?
Yeah. His mama's Irish.
Right.
So he's half African because his dad was from, I forget which African country, but he was from the continent of Africa. But his mother, now our family was, I think Kansas is where they lived, her parents. But their parents came over from Ireland. So they were Irish. And so, it's when Obama first got elected, he made his first trip to Ireland. And when the cameras were there to the little town where his mother's family comes from, and they were there because he was going to that little town so he could go see all of his Irish relatives. And of course, it was a big deal, man. They really blew it up. But I remember there was this old dude sitting out front of one of the pubs, and one of the journalists walked over to him and said, was talking to him about Obama coming, and that dude looked at him. He says, we put the O in Obama because we're Irish. And I was like, oh my
That's
God, I
pretty
can't believe
funny.
that man said that. It was hilarious. I mean, it took the journalist all she could to not just
I never.
burst out in laughter. Although you could hear the crew behind her laughing. But I was like, that's perfect. Oh, that's so perfect, because they welcomed him with open arms, whether he was president or not. He was family. His family came from there.
And even today, you could see
It-
that.
Same when he went to his father's homeland
Yeah,
and met his grandmother and his great grandmother and all that from his dad's side.
right.
Again, open arms.
Mhm.
They didn't diss him because he was half something else.
Right.
He was native son as far as they considered. The Irish treated him the same way. When he first ran, my first thought was, how perfect can you be to be the first Black president that you're half Black and half white? That's the
I'm
whole
going to
country.
say, Shari,
That's the whole country,
there would
Yeah.
supposed to be a good movement because he was half of both. A lot of people complain, again, no president perfect, but the reason why he couldn't get a lot of things done because Mitch McConnell,
Oh,
they purposely,
absolutely.
right. But now we're going to skip over to, we're not going to name because he done so much Joe Biden, but you know what? I don't even know all of them. I just know the top 5. We're going to do just like the top, whatever that Shari feel intuitively to say, but number 1, the major thing is, well, not the major, the infrastructure bill.
Yeah.
Could even
And he managed to get Republicans and Democrats to work together.
he tend to do really great with that with the Bible for the most part. Like the border, even though it didn't go through, the fact that they have a detailed plan. The only reason why it stopped is
It's because
because
Trump told him no.
Orange man, okay?
Yeah.
But think about it. How many presidents been working on this border crisis, both Republican and Democrat? The fact that they were able to, it's just a start, even though it's not perfect. People have to remember that. So infrastructure bill, which is like everything, like you said, building bridges, I mean everything, school, da 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 da. People like, yeah, what? So what? It it's like the FDR one, right? Like he created so many different back to FDR when he created that kind of bill, it created like the way America was. But America now is number 12. So this in coming years, it's gonna make, how you go to a certain part of Europe and they're really on top of things. That's what's gonna make America, okay? Also the microchip industry, he bought that computers and everything. So the fact that he took that away from China, and that's including bringing American back to the USA, that is huge. Okay, so I already list 3 things. We're not going to go in detail because it's already out there, but we have to remind you, like, what is he really doing? So list the rest of it, Cherry, that you feel that we could, without listing all 30.
He got the pandemic under control and people stopped dying by the millions.
Okay.
People still die from the big C,
Yeah.
but he was the one that went in there because he was the one that worked with Obama to get the commission put together to prevent pandemics from occurring. That 45 went, we don't need that, and did away with it, right? What happened? Millions of people died because of his inability to do what the doctors and the scientists said you need to do. First thing Biden did was he got in there, he put in that mandate. You got to get vaccinated. You got to wear a mask. You're going to have to do this, that, and the other. If you want to go back to work, go back into society, start functioning normally, these are the rules you're going to have to follow. They weren't any rules that hadn't been established before with past pandemics.
And
The 1914 pandemic, the Spanish flu, that killed millions of people across the world. When it hit the first time, there were people who were like, I'm not wearing a mask. I mean, same kind of response, right? They didn't think, and then people started dropping like flies. And it came back even stronger and it morphed and moved into that horrible pandemic that hit, and people started wearing masks and started doing things to protect themselves. But by the time they started doing that, it was almost too late. It was truly horrific what happened during that time. Biden, knowing that and understanding that, went in with, look, this is what's going on. This is what the scientists, the biologists, the medical doctors, this is what they're saying. I'm going to listen to the people who know what they're talking about because they have spent their entire life studying this stuff, as opposed to somebody who can't tie his own damn shoes. Now, he's still got a lot of pushback because one side had to make it into a partisan thing instead of just, it's time to do what's right for the country. Doesn't matter what color you are, what gender you are, what political affiliation you are. It's, let's do what's right for the country.
You know what he did? I feel also he had the ability to bipartisan in the
Yeah,
worst case. Think about it, because he is so well connected and he knows
yeah,
people from like 35 plus years. But the fact that he can even like work it out with the current leader of the House, who's really clearly working for the Orange Man. So he had that ability. It's just we're working with so-called good and evil now. So,
right.
evil like to work with manipulation.
And
They like to
again,
work with
that
this.
comes back to the fact that Biden is just deep down, brass tacks, a good man. He makes mistakes just like everybody else does. He makes bad choices just like everybody else does. But he's a good person and he tries to do what he feels in his heart is the right thing to do.
Yeah,
And that makes for a strong leader, not a weak leader. A
right.
strong leader knows when to step back and say, okay, we need to reevaluate or we need to shift direction.
Yeah, but
He
here's the
helped
good
get
news,
the
Shari.
gas prices under control, even though you have people still screaming about gas is more expensive now than it was then. No, go take a peek at your credit card receipts from 5 years ago and then come back and tell me that. I see the gas pumps. I have 3 stations within a walking distance of me. I know how much I pay for gas. He helped.
You know what? He did
He
so.
helped the restocking of not just medical equipment, PPE, all that stuff that the doctors and the nurses and the hospitals needed to deal with the pandemic. But he helped get on to people about all of the crap they were doing, withholding goods in the stores for regular people. Toilet paper would finally hit the store. The first handful of people that got there would buy it all up. And he was like, no, 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 no. There's more than enough for everybody. We can't be greedy with this. And I heard him speak on it several times. It kind of, people started kind of waking up and saying, yeah, you're right. But now, granted, there's more he needs to do with all the price gouging and whatnot that went on because things are now under control. Supply is back in normal, but the prices haven't gone back down.
Yeah.
And so the companies are making even more
Well, he's
money and
working on that
everything.
with the corporation that
He's
taking
working on that.
also
He,
NATO. Because remember,
he managed to
Trump.
get NATO re-strengthened because Trump was in the process of completely breaking it down and was starting
Exactly.
to succeed at it.
Right. If he had won, Orange Man, because I had a dream in 2019 where Putin would taking over the American, my brother and stuff. So what he's doing in Russia, if he had won, he would have took our men and be fighting them, the Russian. And I also saw behind the scene, which we all know because we're all following Chariot and all the other group that do in politics, um, I saw behind the scene all the Middle Eastern men. I'm not talking about Israel. I'm talking like Iran and stuff. So these dictators had big plans that they still, if you watch like Linda G and everybody, they're still like purposely creating chaos, you know? So without Biden, he helped strengthen NATO. And there's a lot
Mhm.
of two countries that
Not
never
just
were.
strengthen, but he helped grow it.
Right.
We've got countries now that have joined NATO that have always said they would
And
never
just think
belong to it.
about it. If those countries joined that had no interest, how bad do they know what's going on behind the scene?
Thank you.
Because they had no interest before. So that means that they
Well, it
know,
wasn't
like,
that they didn't have interest, but they just wanted to remain neutral.
right.
They were like, we're not going to pick a side. We're just going to remain
Yeah, but
neutral.
they can't
This
anymore.
is no man's land.
Yeah.
But when it started coming over their borders and they realized, okay, we don't have the means to protect ourselves from attack if it comes like it's hitting Ukraine. We're screwed. And so,
What they
their
mean by
leadership was
attack,
smart enough to say, okay, there's a reason why NATO is so important because it's a protection level with all these countries, especially countries in Europe. It's a protection level to protect people from attack by those that want to, you know, take over or whatever it is that their goal is. Sweden, Finland, I think you got Norway in there too that joined. He strengthened it with Poland and some of the other countries.
yeah,
Um,
there's a lot of, like, you guys know that dark money, it had to do, if we go with astrology with Michelle, we're coming off of Iron Age and we're trying to head into the Golden Age. There's a lot of dictators collaborating in dark and all that. So it's like even a lot of the politicians who may not even be good people, and I've shared it with Shari before, but they're going to do the right thing. Because why would you, if you see how many I can never say Abiglaj, those wealthy people who work in Russia, they're getting killed left and right, thrown out the window from the dictator. So why would all these politicians, whether they're good or not, want to work with a
yeah,
wannabe dictator? They rather be in capitalism. So they're going to do the right thing, not because they're great people, you know?
no,
But
not all of them. A lot of times it's strictly the pocketbook that makes their decision.
hey,
Um,
whatever works.
some things that Biden did. Here's a few more things. He expanded overtime guarantees for millions of people in this country. That if they worked overtime, they get overtime pay. There is
He's
a lot of
bringing back,
companies. There's a lot of companies that get away with not paying that.
yeah,
You know?
Biden's bringing back the middle class guy.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
as he put it, you build from the middle out.
yeah.
When you reinforce the middle and you start putting into the middle to be able to expand, they move up, those below them move up. It impacts everybody. Everybody moves up the scale. It makes everything better. Um, the trickle down nonsense is
Yeah,
just
but
that nonsense because it
yeah,
doesn't trickle down.
but you know what,
The only
Sherry and
thing that
I,
got trickled down was the cost of taxes.
yeah,
Um,
Sherry and I were saying behind the scene that we're responsible too, as we the people, because I remember in the '90s when companies start going overseas, and we used to get all these cheaper clothes, and now we get cheaper clothes, so we have to get used to, like, and even if you don't make a lot of money, you need those cheaper clothes. But do we really need 20 tank tops? Do we? So because if you want to bring you know, business back in the USA, we gotta learn how to not need so much, because people not gonna work here for $2.50. So it's
right.
all of our responsibility, you know?
Oh, my state government. Now, granted, we have a new MAGA
Yeah,
Republican governor.
right.
We have Republican Senate, Republican House, both federal and state level. Republicans are running it all here. They had a bill that finally came up to be voted on to raise our minimum wage to a living wage. Our minimum wage in Louisiana is $7.25 an hour. That's under $200 a week before taxes. Now, You show me where anybody can live in this country for $200 a week, especially if they
Definitely
have
not in New
kids.
York.
It doesn't matter where you live. There
I
is
know.
nowhere in this. The only where you can live off of $200 a week is if you live in a dumpster or a cardboard box in a back alley.
Right. Or you live
And
in an
even,
apartment with like 10 people, you know?
yeah,
So,
exactly.
okay, guys,
But
let's
he
so
got
remain.
he got minimum wage up. He also, and I didn't even realize this, and I looked it up the other day because I saw it in the drugstore when I went to pick up my medication. The first over-the-counter birth control pills to hit U.S. stores.
Really?
I really, I went into CVS the other day to pick up my medications. I had several that were ready for pickup, and as I'm walking, I went in. I was in the back of the pharmacy, and as I was coming out the store, it caught my eye. A big end shelf, the end piece on the shelving, over-the-counter birth control, fully stocked, very inexpensive. I literally stopped in my tracks. It was like, when the hell did this happen? I mean, I never heard anything about it. I never saw it on the news, nothing. I looked it up. That was one of the things I was wanting to pull up. But he helped to make oral contraceptives available without a prescription. Now, this was an issue that's been since before he took office, that they've not been able to get it passed. But CVS and Walgreens, two of the country's biggest retail pharmacies, have pledged to carry the contraceptive called Opill, Opill. And reproductive rights advocates say an OTC oral contraceptive will help make birth control access more equitable by reaching people who can't afford or easily visit a healthcare provider for a prescription. Okay. Now I know for a fact that it's now in the stores. 2 days ago, I saw it at CVS. They had a big old huge end cap.
So
Nothing
can
but
you imagine like
it was like a red box like this, big
all
red
these
box.
things? Imagine him being around for 20, 24, 28, 28. I know people worry about his age, and it's a concern. But listen, he had the lucky charm because even Linda G, if some of you follow political psychic, when he first went to, because his granddaughter, now we know, so he went in there because he could retire. I mean, why would he want to? There was like 20 people plus. Remember option like that were, but for some reason the universe chose him, right? So that's why
Yeah.
he is the lucky charm. Um, so let's not worry about the age because remember he also had the White House administration. When you see him, he speak well. He's just getting older. That's it. He's very
He
compared
has a
to the other.
stutter. He
Yeah.
was born with a stutter. He's
And once
always
in a
had
while
it.
he trips and stuff.
It's always been an issue for him because when people have a stutter, it's not that their brains aren't working,
No, but
it's that they can't get the sound out, and and most people with a bad stutter, they learn tricks and trades of how to kind of get around it so that it's not quite so obvious. I've watched Biden most of my life being in politics. I didn't even realize he had a stutter until they made a big deal about it when he was running for
I know
president.
I'm gonna say. And
I was
also,
like, he's got a stutter. I never don't remember hearing.
yeah,
And
but
then
don't
when I
you
thought about it, it's like, well, yeah, okay, I guess I can see
no,
where
yeah,
it's.
yeah.
I just figured he was stumbling over his words like we all do.
And he's
And I'm
slowing
sorry,
down.
maybe he's 2 years older than the other guy, but I would take his health and mental acuity over the other guy any day.
Any day. And you know what, people? He does have the White House administration. It's not just one person. Also, if we're worried about the worst case scenario, there are VP, and also most of us are intuitive in here. Let's go with the bigger picture. What he's about, the bigger picture, the light over dark. Okay, we can't get complacent. That what we have to go with the bigger picture. Because I had somebody yesterday, I was telling Shari, she was a big Trumpster. Now it's like, you know what? Trump's no good, but Biden's no good. And I said, why? Because, he like tripped up, down, he did too old and all that. And I'm like, that's why I wanted you, Shari, because, because she's informed. She's more informed. Like all the stuff that he does, we have to get in the habit, because I've done other videos where I bring good news. People get bored because we all get used to the drama, including me. And because we're in fight flight, we have to know what's going to happen with the bad guys. But let's try and make.
And it's a proven biological fact that when you're in that fight or flight mode and things are happening and everything's an emergency, your
We
brain
pay
does not
attention.
cognitively function
Yeah.
as well as when things are calm and you can think it through.
So how can we make calm exciting again? So what about infrastructure? Having middle class back again.
I think
Not hearing the orange man talk.
the biggest, well, number one, we have to start holding the news organizations responsible for not putting out in the news all of the accomplishments that Biden makes. They run behind the other guy and film everything he says, but Biden's over here taking care of a bridge that got knocked down and they're ignoring it, or, he's over here doing this, that, or the other, and they ignore it. It's like, number one, we need to start holding our press accountable, saying, our president did da 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 da. Why weren't you covering that? Well, I can give you the answer. It's for the clicks. They're going to get more clicks on following the other guy and all his nonsense than they are on following the president who's getting things done. The only thing I would complain about with the Biden administration is that they don't toot their horn. They don't get out there, and the Republicans, every step they make, there's somebody out there in front of the camera shouting to the world, we did this, we did that, It's like, okay, but it doesn't matter. That's all people hear. That's the only downfall. And I think the fact that we've got newer blood that's been coming into the Democratic Party, we're starting to see, especially the younger Democrats, and now we're starting to see the older Democrats taking a lesson from them of fighting back. It's not taking the high road and pretending like they're not seeing or hearing what's going on, but to actually push back and say, excuse me, no.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's not correct. Let's stick with the facts. You can't have your own set of facts that you've made up. You got to go with what's actual facts.
Yeah. I noticed that.
They need to get their messaging better.
Yeah.
The Democrats, the Republicans seem to have it locked down with that what they call tailed bumper sticker talking points.
Yeah.
Something short, precise. You could put it on a bumper sticker. People remember that.
Right. Because they understand how that works.
Right. And so that's the one thing that the Biden administration and the Democrats in general need to learn. Take classes on it. I don't care, whatever. Talk to speech specialists, people who that's what they do, is write stuff, to be able to drill down what they're doing and what they're trying to accomplish and put it into talking points, and everybody learn your talking points, go. And then that way, if 6 different representatives and senators are asked the same question on Tuesday, they're all given basically the same answer. And not this hemming and hawing and making excuses and, we're trying to work with them and da 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 da. Bull crap.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't need that. That doesn't get us anywhere. You need to flat out come out and say, well, this is the fact of what's going on. This is what the other side has done. And this is what we're trying to get done. Yeah. Just put it out there. Just be bold in their face. Put it out there. I think if the Democrats start getting a little vim and vinegar in their speech and in their actions and start really putting out their points, the press will start paying attention. The press hadn't paid attention because they're boring. Nobody clicks on it, like you said. Nobody watches it
Yeah, we don't.
because it's
That's the
boring.
thing. Like, we have. First of all,
Granted, after
Breaking
4
Bad
years of total
affected
chaos, we
television.
needed a little boring because people
Yeah.
needed to catch
Oh
their
my
breath.
God. I
The whole
think
country is suffering from PTSD right now in some
exactly.
form or another.
Yeah, and
And
I'm
so
gonna
we
say
needed
like,
that breathing time. But now we're coming up on the next election.
yeah,
And the Biden administration and the Democratic Party as a whole, they need to take some real fast lessons on how to get messaging out, on
they're
how to
getting
get
better.
bold and
They're
in your
getting
face.
pretty.
They are getting better.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
where I credit the younger people coming in that are bringing that new blood in, that are not taking the crap from the Republicans. They're
Yeah, because on Truth Social, he tend to like get right back. That got to be his new people, the young people that doing that. By the way, I
yeah.
just want to like bring up before actual Michelle that I need to do short on election. The actual weather's looking good for Biden, but I'll need to address a few things coming up this summer that could affect his run. I would love to hear you talk about that with Shari, by the way. I'm so excited to see what you find as well. So this is what I want to go with because we could go on. So we touched on something, but this is what I would like for all of us. We're going to focus on for the next, whatever, 20 minutes on, what did I type in here? Because we could go on and on and on. This is
Oh
what I
yeah.
want, not just Cherry and me, because we're going to put our intuition at, but most of you in here, put your intuition on hat on. What will President Joe Biden will bring to America in 2024 to 2028? Does that mean he won his thing? So this means we don't really know. So we have to go beyond our opinion. So let's just tap in. Let's see because it could be very practical. Like for example, we're gonna start seeing more of the result of the infrastructure bill. We're gonna actually know like what's going on with the healthcare stuff, like that Shari brought up about the birth control pill that I had no idea. The border, what I'm getting
But
right
what
off
are
the
the
bat.
Republicans doing right now with health care? They're stripping away women's rights
Yeah,
to make
well,
their own decisions over their own bodies.
it's helping with the election. So in a way,
Yeah.
like you know, what I'm getting is, how you guys heard about the ETs are coming, you know, um, from like stolen stuff. Joe Biden's going to be involved with that because it's not because he's special or anything like that. It's whoever president that is going to be for the next few years. So that's what it showed me right off the bat. He's going to bring up more universal. He's going to be introducing that because of the timing. Because they're actually helping us because we're in a
They've
bad
been
state.
helping us for a long time.
No, they already, like you said, they've been since the beginning of time. They might have created us and all that, but it's because. And by the way, we know it's evolution. So 50 years from now on and da da da. But because it's so bad, they have to come here for some reason, at the time frame. So one off thing I got with ET, but also the border thing gonna be taken care of. And so because the Republican, a lot of the MAGA extremists gonna be weeded out and even they're going to work together more. So we're going to start seeing about the border crisis. It's going to be handled in 4 years, probably not, but that's what I'm seeing for 2024, 2028. What do you see, Shari, and anybody in there?
Knight of Wands. He
Oh,
is. He is. He is. They're moving. It's time to move forward. Quit,
yay!
quit
So
sitting
he
around.
got you. Maybe because of the
Quit
house.
sitting around with your thumbs up your butt and do something. That's
Well,
the
also
process.
maybe because we got the house by then, he's going to be able to bring all the build out.
Three of Wands. You're going to be successful at it. If you get on your damn horse and ride out and meet it halfway, you're going to come out the winner. And then the Seven of Wands. Hold your ground. Stand up for what you believe in.
He's doing that with the Ukraine thing and Israel. Even though right now the Israel they're purposely doing that. That you could tell that they're trying to mess him up. But
Yeah,
you could tell
of
he's about
course.
unity with the NATO stuff. Cause look, Lorraine, I
And
believe,
you
yeah,
have the press that's putting out a lot of false information about what's happening in Gaza and Hamas and all of that. And so you have a lot of young people across the country that are protesting, but they're protesting from a distorted point of view.
and very naive. I
And
do
they're
know
thinking
that.
that, and I was just talking to a couple of young people, college kids, last week, and saying, you do realize the president has no control over what the leader of another country decides to do. We
Yeah.
can threaten, we can sanction, we can send people over there and say, look, you are royally screwing up and you're going to pay for it if you don't chill your jets and start doing what's right. That's how we managed to get what aid that we have been able to get in to Gaza, to the Pakistani people. I went blank. Um, because of the fact that Biden was able to pick up the phone and say, "Okay, look, it's a bridge too far now. You got to dial it back because we're not sending you any money. We're not sending you any more stuff until you start letting aid go through."
And you
You
know
know,
what? You're right. A lot of people, I didn't know this myself. Like with Ukraine, they're putting so much money, they're sending all this. This kid educated me, not from Mitre Touch, but one of those type of shows on
yeah.
YouTube, where he said that lot of stuff that they're sending overseas are old um, missile stuff, all that. So because of that, they're building new military stuff for the USA, so they have more modern stuff. So when they give Ukraine, it's not always like giving like the newest this and that. They're giving them the older stuff so they could use that, you know. And by the way, I got the Fool, so we're gonna be surprised. He's bringing a lot of fresh blood, meaning not fresh blood, but like fresh thing that we haven't thought of, or that we
When it
thought.
comes to Ukraine, I got the Nine of Swords. A lot of worry. A lot of worry. Are people going to come through for them to help them protect their country and stand up for democracy? Followed by the Queen of Pentacles, which is telling them, yeah, we got your back. We're coming.
Mhm.
Calvary's on the way. Just hang on, you know.
Yeah,
Um, because a lot of what we had to do when we sent new equipment over was they didn't know how to use it.
right.
So we had to send people over to train them, or we had to bring their pilots over to us or to another country that was closer, that was friendly, to train them on how to use the new stuff. I mean, when you got a damn 17-year-old teenage girl that can go and jump into a Russian tank and steal it and drive it off, that's when you know you got old crap, because she was able to pull it up on the internet, see how it works. If it was something new, she wouldn't be able to get that information because it's not going to be on the internet because it's classified. Um, and then we've got the Six of Pentacles. Again, that's the U.S. and NATO letting Ukraine know we got your back. It's coming. We didn't. And despite the fact that the Republicans have tried to hold up that money going to Ukraine every way they can, Biden has done end runs around them every time and gotten money to them.
And listen, guys, that's amazing because look what he's working with. I don't know that he's pulling that definitely. Remember, he's a lucky charm, not only because he's awesome, but it's the universe that's choosing him. They could have showed any other uh, people to work with. Even Linda G said that in the beginning, she saw nothing for him, but suddenly she saw all this light. So he's being chosen. So before I tell my three cards, I just want to quickly pick up because she's bringing up astrologically. Michelle said Biden just began Saturn Mahadasha.
Mahadashi.
Yeah. And luckily, Shani is strong right now inside Rhea, Aquarius. Saturn for the people. Trump had karma to pay in Jupiter. Kedudasha. I love the way I just stated random word. I'm praying for unity. So astrologically, it looks good. So these are what he'd bring in 2024 to 2025. All the misinformation, it's going to be pulled off the eye because it's not just Biden per se, but think of like what's his name, Jack Smith and all those people. It's gonna take time because it's happening 2024. We're already going to 2024. So a lot of the trials and stuff that's working now by 2024 on, the wool, the people being blinded, the ignorant and all that can be pulled out. So that's what's going to be good about 2024 and 2028 going to be good for him because that's going to help him. And also he's going to have the house by then. And look at that. You see in the chariot, Shari mentioned about the movement, but we're seeing here, you got the dark and light. The light is step ahead. So 2024 to 2028, the light gonna be a step ahead the dark. The dark is very clever. They've been around. This earth is old in the beginning of time, and there's been society that came and went. There was society that advanced that went under. So what he's doing 2024 to 2028, he's smoothing things over. So even though he's doing that now, there's too much chaos still going on. So by 2024, 2028, it's going to be much smoother. That because part of it is the illusion going to be removed about the orange guy. So what happened from that, there's going to be. So let's see what else we have here.
Well, and you also have, because of the way it was always in the past until Obama and Biden were in office together, the VP normally never did anything. They just kind of hung out, looked pretty, whatever. A lot of people don't realize all the work that Kamala Harris has been doing. She has not been sitting on her butt waiting to see if Joe's going to croak tomorrow. That's
right.
That's not in her wheelhouse. He has had her working and working hard. She's been busting her butt getting things done. Because a lot of what she's doing that he's having her take care of and do are all training steps of what you're going to deal with when you're the president. Because I firmly believe, my cards have told me, my pendulum has told me that Biden is going to be president. He's going to win. I've had a lot of wishy-washy answers with the cards and the pendulum about will he complete the 4 years.
Right.
I think he will get close, but I think it'll get towards the end. There's a real good chance that Kamala's going to have to step in. He's going to step out. I can't do it, health, whatever. And I think that at that point, people are going to realize just how much work that she's done and just how well he has been preparing her to take on that role. Now, whether if she runs again in 28 as president, or if she runs in 32 as her second term, that may depend on where she's at personally, who else is on the docket to run for that position. That, there's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts in the air about that. But she's not been just sitting around playing footsie with her husband for 4 years. She's been hard at work.
She's not playing footsie with her husband for 4 years. Okay, that's funny. Listen.
And she probably is, but that's after they get home at night. But I tell you what, and I don't care if you're gay, straight, whatever, you get someone who is your partner, who looks at you the way Doug looks at Kamala, honey, you got it made. That's all you need. That man loves her beyond compare. And you can see it in his face and in his eyes. You can see the pride that just pumps out of him whenever something's going on in Vice President Kamala Harris. You just see him. I mean, you can see it in his body. You can see it in the aura around him. just glows of pride for her.
Look, now I'm gonna be looking at Doug, looking at Kamala. But I just don't
And
notice they always
but he looks at her with such love and devotion. It's like how if you've had a dog for a long time, you're his person. That dog loves you. That dog, I mean, most people say, man, if I had a spouse or a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, looked at me the way my dog did, I'd be set. That's Doug.
Yeah.
He makes dogs look put to shame the way he looks at her. It's like, oh man, boy, did she ring the golden bell and get the golden ring when they got put together by coworkers, by
Yeah.
friends. And
You know what's funny? Whenever I see like if he's gonna be in it for like 4 years, I get 3 scenarios. So maybe because remember what we do today matter tomorrow. It doesn't matter how much we predict or even go with the obvious. Like you got like, oh, that if we're gonna go practical, there's a chance because he's older and then you're gonna have the VP. But then if you go intuitively, people are seeing that, right? But I see like 3 scenarios. I got number one is we got to focus. And I told it before, if you watch my show, we have to focus on what we love because they're doing a lot of things to distract us to make sure we don't get successful.
oh, absolutely.
Things don't happen. That collectively, we're not in a.
Yeah, that's the whole point is chaos
Right.
and confusion.
But a time of truth, this is what light is dealing with. Look at that, it's eating up the truth. It's funny, I never noticed it. I thought it's like a face where it's like a bad fish, but I did notice it's a crow over here.
Yeah.
So what happened is that mean we're living in illusion. So I thought it was a fish, but meanwhile it's like something else with the crow in the middle. So depending on the illusion, we're living. First of all, if you're gonna go, and I don't even have to be like a spiritual person, they always say everything's illusion. So why not make good illusion? But the thing is, there's a lot of things that know how to make confusing illusion. So that's why if we're gonna create illusion, easier said than done. Let's do things we love because evil we would want people to be miserable, fuck, and follow the drama. And so the Joe Biden bringing all that. He's the lucky charm. He actually is the lucky charm. The universe showed in him, and not only because practically he had skills and he's a good guy and all that, but he's there for a reason. So we shared just a few things of what he's doing. So if you guys have a YouTube channel and you collab a lot and you do politics, focus on success of Joe Biden or the White House administration or the energy. It doesn't have to be Joe Biden because a lot of us don't know. And also we're putting that energy out there. And let me tell you, I'm just like anybody else and I will want to hear about Trump, this and that. So please put that out there. So let's see what Michelle said. She said, do you think Biden will address the elephant Chinese economy in the room? What you got?
I pulled a 7 of cups on that. So he's being told to be careful with his money.
Okay.
Weigh all the options. Be very sure about what you focus on.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, China's making a big end run to get in there. I'm just as guilty as the next person. I buy a lot of crap through Temu because it's cheap and I can afford it.
Yeah.
When I first got onto Temu and I saw all these cards, they had all these decks of cards for $2-3 a deck. I was like, oh damn, I hit the jackpot. And I ordered a bunch. And then I found out that they weren't the cards from the creators. They were knockoffs. They were counterfeit.
Wait, a lot of them you don't know, right?
So whoever created that deck of cards is not getting anything off of that $3 sale.
Right.
And I've slowly, for the last, year and a half, been replacing all of those decks of cards.
Let's be honest,
with
that's
the
amazing.
actual deck of cards,
Yeah.
Now, a lot of times I'll use the cheapy ones just because they're easier to handle.
Of course.
They're smaller.
Yeah.
But I've made a point of replacing them all with the actual cards. Okay, babe, be careful. And then I pulled a strength card. This is just a little reminder that, Biden's got the strength to deal with this. And they're going to have to eventually take steps to say, okay, look, if you're going to sell that crap here, you're going to have to start paying uh, whatever kind of fees it is that other countries charge us to send our stuff there. You know,
Mm-hmm.
everybody thought it was a great thing that Nixon did when he opened up China for us to interact with for sales. But we didn't realize that in the process of doing that, we were cutting our own throats. How do you think World War II would have gone if we didn't have our own steel factories and manufacturers of stuff here in this country? Do you think Europe would have been making our bombs and our tanks and our artillery? No, because most of Europe was under the thumb of Hitler. What allowed us to kind of prevent that from happening was the fact that at that point in our time, we were still making all of our own stuff. We had our own steel workers. We had our own factories. And instead of making cars and frivolous stuff, the government said, no, we're going to war. We need to make things for war. The men got shipped out. The women took off their aprons and put their ass in the factories and started building bombs and tanks and aircraft and whatever else was needed, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's how we kept ahead, is because we were able to provide for our own protection. You look at today, if something happened and we went into a world war tomorrow, do we have the ability to make our own stuff to protect us? Nope. We're slowly getting there. Biden's been working hard at bringing it back, but we're not there yet. It's still got a long way to
But you
go.
know where that came
But at
from?
least the effort's being made.
But I remember.
And let me tell you, this is the last card I drew for Biden.
Okay.
The King of Cups. Because again, he's a good man with a good heart. King of Cups. There you go. And he just wants them to know, I'm here to help. I'm here to help take care of you. Because he's Uncle Joe or Grandpa Joe or whatever you want to call him. He's still that innate goodness inside of him to want to do right for others and to help other people do well.
Yeah, but that's the ripple effect. He's bringing that out. I'm starting to notice that. Going back to the elephant in the room and the Temu app like Temu, we as we the people around the world are buying the cheaper stuff. And we're not bad for it because it's more affordable. But we have to. I think we need to be more resourceful. People are becoming more resourceful. In Europe, they know how to be more resourceful. We have to learn how to be more resourceful. Get creative again with our clothes. Do we need 30 t-shirts? Do we need like 50 pants? Even if they're like $10 or $7. So it's not just the evil people, the corporation, other country. It's we the people. So it's like we the people. We have to play. We play both parts. We have shadows. We have thing, Cherry. I remember in the '90s when the business start putting everything in China or other country, and I remember the regular people who would make clothes, not even a corporation, and they said I send it to overseas. We don't realize how 20 years later that would affect in a bigger way. We were just thinking, well, if we send it overseas, it's going to be more affordable to make money here. Even like I remember
The people didn't take into account that more affordable wasn't going to be affordable enough because you had far too many people losing their jobs.
Yeah, but we didn't think
the bigger
picture. Yeah, but we didn't.
Yeah, we didn't bother to look at what the next steps were.
Yeah, we didn't know. Like I remember going, oh, okay, yeah, and I remember even with GMO when vegetable and stuff like that. with like natural looking, curvy. They weren't like beautiful looking. And I was like, oh, we're gonna have better looking tomatoes and better looking this. Not thinking like, okay, you know, natural better. Like it's like out of like being unconscious and unaware, and then not seeing the bigger picture 20 years down. Going back to like even the kids in college, even though they're focusing on Israel and Gaza, they're not seeing the bigger picture what Orange Man about or the dictators about
Yep.
doing behind the scene and all that. So what you got, Shari? Go ahead.
This just I was shuffling just to shuffle, and this jumped out the moon, followed by the Page of Wands, which is learning a new skill set, which is what a lot of these people, and that's where I think Hillary made a vast mistake when she was running in 2016, is that especially when she was talking to the coal miners. Oh, we're going to stop all of this. No more the black lung and this and that and the other. And you had coal miners looking around. They're living in a freaking shack saying, well, what the hell am I going to do now? I don't know how to work on a computer. I can barely read and write. You know, you expect I'm going to go into, you know, some hoity-toity place and be able to keep up. You know, they didn't bother to put in place the action plan. If we do this, here's how we're going to transition you and what you would be doing, which would be very similar to what you've already done. It'll just be above ground, and you won't have to worry about getting oil, coal in your lungs to kill you, you know?
Right.
And of course, you have all these greedy corporations that have been making money hand over fist for the last 50 years because of all this stuff going on, who are going to fight every step of the way because that cuts into their profit.
And how Joe Biden helping with that? You know, in
I mean,
2024 to 2028. I'm asking intuition. How he can help with that?
well, I think a lot of what he's been trying to do is put, not necessarily put brakes on it, but to
Mhm.
start narrowing the scope of what they're doing.
Right.
You know, if
Mhm.
you're going to run a factory in China to build cheap shit, poop, excuse me, um, then you're going to have to pay extra fees for running that business in China. And it's you're not going to make the profit off of it that you thought you would before, because now you're going to be paying it out in fees and you know, whatever they want to call it. I'm going blank on the word, for running it overseas. You know what I think they should do, and this is Shari talking, is they should offer bonuses to companies that bring their manufacturing back to the US. You know, give them a 5-year tax break to come in, rebuild the factories, get people hired and working, as long as they're investing that money right back into the training and building of the company, of the factories, of the whatever, not in their pockets, you know. And again, because of the fact that they've been so greedy for so long, you're going to have some really strong um, safeguards, as well as guard dogs watching over it.
Yeah.
Much like 45 has to deal with now for any money that's coming into his accounts in New York. There is now a judge that's her specialty, is that kind of stuff. They have to go through her to do anything. To spend one penny, it's got to go through her first. And if it doesn't mesh up with what they say they're wanting it for, nope, you can't have it.
You know,
So,
I'm getting like, yeah, yeah. I'm getting like, because now I'm getting woo woo. We're getting the woo woo part of right now. There's a lot of like people working for enlightenment and all that. So enlightenment is not just for the few, not just for the Buddha,
no, it's
for
for
the
everyone.
Gandhi, for the this and that. It's just part of the planetary shift. It's part of like the dark. the reason why they're fighting so hard to keep it dark is because we were changing into the golden age. They were preventing that. They're working on that. So what happened is all this that we've been talking about, as the golden age play its part, and if we play our part, especially doing things that we love, and also they're getting called out. The like you saw the
Yeah.
crows, the dark are getting called out, and we gotta pray still. Naturally, we're all gonna do the right thing, not because we're great people. It's because if you got the planetary support and you got people evolving, it's just something where we're gonna head into. Plus, remember, I told you I saw 3 different opportunities. What's gonna happen with President Joe Biden? And he's gonna be able to last 4 years. A lot of people see this, they see this, and I'm seeing like 3 opportunities. So, how we're gonna end this video, Shari? So, what do you think? What
Yeah,
message?
those are the best advice and or message I can give to anyone. Find 5 things that you're passionate about
Mm,
and memorize them. And when you run into somebody who says something like, well, Biden hadn't done anything for me, you can be able to tick it off your fingers. Well, he got infrastructure, he got over-the-counter birth control, he got the pandemic under control, he got, and just hit him with 5 things that his administration has accomplished.
right, because they keep going.
And just
He's
leave it
not
at that,
offering
because it's
anything.
like, you didn't want the roads fixed.
Right,
You didn't want the bridges that are on the verge of falling down to get
exactly.
fixed.
Hmm.
He got the infrastructure bill done, so they're working on it now.
Right, it takes a
I
while.
mean, and the few times that I've used that very topic with people have made them kind of step back and go, "Oh, I didn't know he did that." Because the other side is saying that it's something that 45 set up before he left office. I said, no. I said, every other week he was coming out saying, we're working on the infrastructure bill. We'll have it in 2 weeks. I said, 2 weeks stretched into 4 years. And every 2 weeks he told us the same lie. I said, what's amazing is how many people kept buying it and believing it. After the first 3 or 4, it'll be in 2 weeks, didn't happen. That's when folks should have shut the door on him and said, okay, dude, enough of you. You're lying. You don't know what to do. You don't know how to do it. So you're just going to lie about it. That's what a lot of that comes down to. And so,
No, but I'm glad you brought that up. You know why? Because sometimes I'm like, I'm intuitively I can see the bigger picture, but doesn't mean I know the details of like, what Joe doing, like 30 things. And I realized what you're saying with pick the 5 things. I could pick the 5 things, especially the top 5, which I find important, but everybody could bring something different to the table. So let's
well, that's why I
find,
said pick 5 things you're passionate about.
right,
5 things that
exactly.
are important to you, because if you're passionate about it, you're going to know a lot more about it. You're going to be able to push that point across a whole lot stronger than if you're just saying something because you read it on a page.
And let's make
So,
it interesting. Like people find calm and solution boring because we are so into the fight flight mode and want the drama. I get it. Let's make it fun. And also Joe Biden bringing back respect to the elderly. I get that big time.
absolutely. And he's bringing back respect to the office of the President of the United States of America,
Yeah.
where it had become a laughing stock across the world.
Mm.
you know,
And you know
and
what's
his
interesting? The MAGA is not just a USA thing. It's really uh, happening all over the place. So,
yeah,
something serious. But you know what? So let's continue with this Lucky Charm energy, what he's about. Let's keep promoting him. Also, just bring up that 5 passionate thing that you mentioned. If you have a YouTube channel and you do a little bit of politics, even if you don't do politics, but you do astrologically, you could tell like the real deal. Like, okay, we're in a bad period of time. You don't want to sugarcoat or spiritual bypass, but also bring up like what possibility we can as well. That's what we got to focus on.
yeah,
And also you're going to be I just noticed that a lot of people on YouTube, they're just making up shit. So,
Yeah.
let
I mean, I've had people accuse me of, well, you're not intuitively given anything. You've read the articles or whatever. Say, yeah, so I understand the basics of what it is I'm asking spirit to show me.
right,
Just because I'm giving myself knowledge into what the topic is doesn't mean it's not coming from my intuitive sense. Because if I know what the foundation is, then I know what the right questions are to ask spirit
right.
to
And
show
also,
me what do I need to know.
a lot of time, intuition is very common sense as well. They feel like you have to be so woo woo, pulled out of the sky. I would like real quick remember this. You know that story they have about, it could have seemed random, but it's gonna make sense. Where this guy, there was a flood coming up, and you guys heard this. There was a flood coming up, and he was praying to God for help. And what happened is, let's say, I don't remember the three, but one guy came in a boat, like a rowboat, and they said, "You want to come in?" He's like, "No, no, no, I'm okay, 'cause God's gonna help me." And then the next moment, let's say there was a helicopter. Helicopter came, they were gonna help him. He's like, "No, no, 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 God's gonna help me." And then the third one, I don't remember what it is, blah 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 blah. So finally, he drowned, and he goes to heaven, and he meets God, and he goes, "Well, why didn't he help me?" And he goes, "I send you a boat, I send you this, and I send you that, and you didn't take it." So spirituality is also about the practical things. Like I would have a health issue, and I was praying for like woo-woo health miracle, and God sent me a regular practical things that were helpful to me. So that includes like when we do politics or anything like that when it comes to intuition or at yeah, we could get information that maybe is not, that nothing, that is not known, but practicality comes with intuition and also with spirituality as well.
And knowledge, you got to have your knowledge base. I
Yeah,
mean, it's hard to argue against false facts if you don't know what the real facts are.
yeah,
Lorraine put it wonderfully. She said, we all need to do our homework. Work from there. You can't fix what you don't know about. You
right,
can't argue a point if you don't know what the points are and if you don't know what the facts are.
right,
Ask any debate student in the country, in the world that's ever had to do a debate with somebody on a particular topic. You're not just learning everything to support your position if you're in a debate, if you're a good debater, but you're learning everything on the opposite side that they're going to use so that you can literally argue either side of something. Just flip it over. And
yeah,
I've watched really good debaters do that. I've watched them debate and do a thing saying, I believe in A. And then the next person comes out and they turn around and say, no, I believe in B. And they're just as convincing and just as knowledgeable about the other side of what they're talking about as they are from the original side that they were with.
yeah.
You
And
know,
that's the point of the video. The video is bringing up fact.
right.
Like
But that's
actual things actually doing.
the best advice I can give. The one thing that when you asked me to do this several months ago, and I said, yeah, because I felt it was important. And then that spirit started talking to me. It's like, just pick 5 things that you feel passionate about. Whether if it's infrastructure, whether if it's birth control, whether if it's
Yada yada
rights
yada.
for LGBTQ, whether if it's the border. I mean, whatever the topic is, pick 5 things that you're passionate about, and then learn everything you can about what the Biden administration has done for that, and then learn everything that you can that the other side stopped from happening.
Exactly. So that's the fact foundation. This is where the woo woo comes in. And this is why we're good at. The woo is where we saw a lot of things that happening now 2 3 years ago. We see the bigger picture. Like now they're starting to show evidence about, oh, Trump is actually working with dictators. We've been seeing that 3 years, but there was no evidence, no fact
How
to
do you think
show.
how
Now they're
frustrated I
trying to
am?
show it.
I've already gone through most of this when I was a kid with the civil rights and the women's rights and equal rights.
It's like you
Marched with
repeat,
my mom, you know.
is it like the what do you
I
call
didn't
it?
think I'd ever have to deal with
Groundhog
this in
Day.
my lifetime again. And now
I
here I
know,
am. I'm having to fight the same battles that we won 50 years ago.
right?
60 years ago. Well, 60 years ago, I was only 3, but 50 years ago, I was almost 13. So, I mean, I'll
Yeah,
be
it's kind of weird,
63 in less than a month. And,
right?
I
Yeah,
mean,
I was
and
born in the 70s, so in the 80s, everything was progressing. Women life was getting better. Gay life was getting better. People going more into interracial race. Like everything was always getting better than thought. But anyway, going back to focus, President Joe Biden, he's a lucky charm, and we're going to continue to nurture that energy. What is he actually bringing? Fact stuff. Also, because intuitively, what we've been seeing are starting to come out where they're showing it factually. It's just, um,
and
it's like
don't be
it's showing the
shy to pray for your enemies. Val from Dragonfly Crystals brought this up a while back, and she's like, look at these people that are opposing the Democrats, that are trying to wreck everything, and
yeah.
just start surrounding them with white light, white healing light, that they can't function and do the damage that they want to do because
And by the
spirit is
way,
kind of blocking them.
just to throw a little wrench, I belong to I've been in a built it's called the Golden Age Movement, and I've been in it for 11 years. One of the things they make us do when we pray is pray for the MAGA people.
Yep.
Ill, ill, because first of all, a lot of us, who knows what we've been in past life, good or bad or
Right.
otherwise. Number two, it's not that you're praying that they would make it successful. You never know. Some of them may actually start to do the right thing. You just don't know. So if I can't really pray for somebody, let's say I'm too attached to Orange Man, I won't pray for him. But if they say go pray for Mike Johnson, I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing any energy. I'm just telling this light to pray over them because we
Yeah.
don't want to
Just
put our energy onto those kind of
at the
energy.
very least, just pray for white light to encompass them and the
That's it.
truth to be
You
shown
shouldn't
to
even
them.
get involved because it's not about you. It's not about us, and we
Right.
don't want to touch their energy. We want the light to touch it.
Don't know.
So
It's got
anyway,
yucky energy.
oh please, okay.
It's
So
really
thank you very
icky.
much, Shari.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me. This has been
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, and you know what? I actually got inspired by this. First of all, we're all getting inspired to do this, um, to focus on the doing the right thing, and talk about Joe Biden. But Shari, one of her, I don't know which one, because she does a lot of different political collab. She's the one who said, you know what? People got to start bringing up what Joe Biden actually doing. So this kind of
Yeah.
like the idea that I'm like, yeah, because a lot of time, um, I kind of want to like don't want to focus on politics. I love politics, but I'll go a moment where I'll focus on it, and then I'll go a moment where I get tuned out. I
Take a
get
break from it. Oh my God. I know some people, that's all they do is political reads. Nothing else. They don't. It's like, no, man, you gotta walk away from it, and do some other
yeah, but I
things,
was like I was doing the
just
opposite. I was
just to catch your breath, because otherwise that could
Yeah.
be, oh my
Well, you know
goodness,
what?
just
Remember,
uh,
Shari, I'll put in the link later, but we did a 2024 with Shari, Heather from Soul Alchemy, and Patty, Coaching for Inspiration. We're going to start seeing a lot of you who do political reading start doing more, and I have been seeing all of you do it, starting to do more current event. So current event meaning like just what on, the media. It's not
yeah.
just politics. So you're going to
What's
start doing
happening in Europe? What's happening in South or
Yeah,
Central
but not
America?
just politics. So that's a good sign.
No, there's lots of other things that are going on too,
No, but we had to talk
good
about
and bad.
politics before. We
Yeah.
had to talk about politics before because if he had not won in 2020, we would be. But now the fact that people are going to start doing other topics with some politics, it's a good sign. It's a good sign. So anyway, take care. I hope you guys got
Thank you for
something from
inviting
it.
me.
Yeah, no
I
problem.
have my
I'm
bad habit of sitting here and hunkering down, and half my face
like, yeah, I'm
disappears.
putting up all this stuff and blocking her face,
No,
but
that's me. I can't sit back in a chair because of my back. It's too painful. I have to
yeah,
sit forward in the chair. And so I tend to sit forward and then lean on my arms, and it brings my head down. It's like trying to reteach myself to sit back so that everybody can see my face.
you know what, you're right. Can I go like this? We have to put this straight up. You know what?
Yeah.
Let's sit up. Let's sit up with
But
Joe
it's
Biden.
painful for me to sit straight up like this. It's actually painful,
Mm,
which is why I tend to sit forward because it takes the pressure off my tailbone.
yeah,
And
it's different for
because
everybody.
the vertebrae just above the tailbone, I have no discs between them. It's all bone on bone. So when I sit straight up, it's all just bone crunching into each other. And
Okay. Yeah, I think
it
my
just
mother
makes
had
it
something
painful.
like that too. She had to wear. What
Yeah.
happened is the meat in between the bone they melted, basically.
Yeah.
So you know what?
It
President Joe
happens.
Biden, no matter how old, not gonna melt like our bones, because he had help. He had
I tell
backbone.
you what, and I've said this to a few people. When was the last time you saw Trump on a bicycle riding in the
I
park
mean, not
or
for
on the
nothing. I'm in my
beach?
50s and I don't ride a bike. So, an
Thank you.
80-year-old man.
I mean, right now, Joe Biden could run circles around me. He's in much better shape than I am. Let me tell you what. Um, but yeah, I mean, I feel very confident that A is going to win and that B, he is the right man for the job. He's
Yeah,
exactly
and
what we need.
the
And
universe is picking him. The message I got is I let healing energy in my heart heal my body from any discomfort. Hello, we've been in discomfort for how many years when it comes to this topic? So we're gonna keep healing. Actually, talking about this.
pull the Six of
Yeah.
Cups for everybody. Reunion, family, you know. Um, renewed. What else does it say on here? I haven't even looked at
Bring
it.
back like hope. You
Renewed
know,
enthusiasm, improved finances, renewed relationships, life improvements, reunions. Yeah, this is a good card. Good card.
well, you know
And this
what?
is
People have been fighting over politically. They're starting to become friends again. I actually became friend with. I had a friend on YouTube. It was like a mutual friend, cousin friend, and I never usually will unfriend somebody over political difference, but she was so on it, on top of me attacking. She ended up after January 6th not being a Trumpster. So some people actually got affected after January 6th. A lot of
yeah.
Republicans, they don't think anything of it. But she's the independent and she does not think Biden is any good. But just the fact that she's like after January 6th. So you know what?
That
It's all
that
good.
that changed a lot of people's minds.
Yeah.
The more hardcore people, there are some of them, their minds will never be changed because they have completely bought into the grift. But we are very lucky that we have an administration in place right now that is looking out for our best well-being. They may not always be able to make the decisions they want to make because they get blocked, but at least they're trying. And that's better than the last administration.
Yeah. And you know what? If sometimes they're not doing the right thing, they're getting checked. That's why we have both sides, or at least what we think it is. But anyway, take care and
Thank you, ma'am. Thank y'all for coming. Bye.
adios.